Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our August LTPT meeting. Just a reminder again that these meetings are recorded. So if you have to leave or if you would like anyone else to join these meetings, but they can't today, this will be posted either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning on our Florida Commerce YouTube page. So let's jump right into it. I'm not sharing the agenda. Hang on. There we go. So on the agenda today, I will discuss quickly about Broadband Summit update and promotion. So regarding the Broadband Summit, I have the list of the LTPT members that the office will be paying for. That is confirmed. So if any other LTPTs or additional members that would like to attend, they will have to pay for their stay on their own, but they're more than welcome to attend. Another reminder, please make sure that you are registered as soon as possible, just because it's easier for us to keep track of all the LTPTs that will be attending as well. But you will have the day of the summit when it starts, you will have the availability to register still. Another announcement is that on the agenda, I think on the Wednesday of this, not Wednesday, I think maybe Thursday of the summit is not clarified yet, but there will be a closed roundtable for the LTPTs only. We got that authorized yesterday, so later this afternoon, I will probably be sending out another reminder email that y'all are invited to this. But just a reminder that this is only for LTPT leaders and members only. No other, consulting ISPs will be allowed in that meeting. It'll just specifically be for LTPTs. So I think that will be a great opportunity for y'all to get to know one another if you haven't met in person, and just kind of see how everyone's doing, bounce ideas off of one another. I think that should only be for about an hour. And it'll also kind of help create conversation for the following day, which we will have our LTPT panel with 6 LTPT panelists will be on there. And it'll kind of just be a nice discussion of how these LTPTs have handled, running an LTPT, what are their successes, what are their challenges, kind of just amongst of other things as well. But whenever we get the agenda finalized, we will probably have that posted on our website, but then I will send that out in a email to all LTPTs as well. And then regarding the Broadband Summit promotion, I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I sent out an email to LTPTs, kind of just asking if y'all could kind of help support by promoting the Broadband Summit to any other members, nonprofits, anyone you think in your community would benefit from attending this event. So if y'all have spread that word around, I appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. And regarding anything Broadband Summit, another big reminder is that if you have reached out to me and you have asked the office to pay for your stay at the summit, please do not book a room at the hotel just because our office is taking the responsibility for that. So all you have to do is just register. When you show up at the hotel, you will be asked to put your card on file, but then once you check out, our office will be paying for it. So please do not book a hotel room. And if you have by chance, please go ahead and cancel it just because our office is taking responsibility for that. So please don't let that be a concern for y'all. But does anyone have any questions about the Broadband Summit? Okay.
Erin, before you move on, this is David in Polk.
Yeah.
I appreciated the promotional material, but it was kind of in that for the marketing group. Did you guys ever put together a kind of a finalized version that we can forward and send? That's just more of an actual like the flyer.
That's a great question. I don't think our comms Brooke, who's our comms liaison for the office, is on this call. But whenever we get done, I can ask her if there's kind of like a specific template I can send out to y'all to help further promote the Broadband Summit. But that's a great question. I'll make
I,
sure to
I'm
reach out to
on.
her and ask that.
I'm
Brooks
on the
on.
call. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. I believe there's the template that they had sent out, or all the toolkit that they had sent out, is what they had provided, the More agency. So I don't believe there is any flyers that they've created. I think they were just more looking for you guys to send it out to your partners to post on social media or include in emails to spread, to get awareness out about the summit.
Right, but it was more of a marketing toolkit rather than a nice flyer that we could literally hand off to our communications group to say, "Hey, post this on our website," or for me to send to my distribution list of NFPs. There was no finished product. I was trying to cut, copy, and paste from it, and I was
There,
saying if there was one that you did have in there, that would be really helpful for us to send.
so there was links in there for you to find like graphics, and then there's also copy to include in social media on that toolkit. It should have
Right.
been shared.
There are. That's what I'm saying. But we would have to pull and grab, and that's what I'm saying. If there was just a nice little finished product broadband summit, click here that we can send out, that would be great. But if not, I've been doing that. I've been cut, copy, and pasting.
Okay, I can definitely check with More to see if they would be able to provide that.
Hey, this is Leo. Just quick question. Will the email communication that was distributed weeks ago promoting the upcoming summit, will that suffice? Or if
Is
you
it
have not seen those or that communication that went out, we can definitely share that because it's pretty much a broad, what we would call a flyer, just inviting folks to attend and register for the summit. So what we can do, Brooke, if you can pull that communication that was sent out through Florida Commerce and share it with the team, that might be what they can leverage for
Okay.
distribution on their end.
Yes, definitely. I'll send that out.
Thank
Or
you.
I'll send that to Aaron for you to distribute to the team.
Thanks, Brooke.
okay? Thank you, Brooke. So if anyone doesn't have any more questions, I will throw it over to Joshua Holdley to provide a quick update regarding the BEAD challenge process.
Thank you, Aaron. I'll keep it short and sweet on this one. We are on time to complete the challenge process as defined on our website with the timeline. We are anticipating to get a significant amount of planned service areas in the community, as well as we have started to receive some CAI challenges. It is note clarifying that CAIs are not a priority under the BEAD program. However, we are receiving them from certain nonprofits. I will say that to the LGBT community, preservation of affordable housing, as well as education superhighway, have been involved in actually submitting challenges. So they are two of the more active nonprofits organizations. So just a heads up on that one. They've been mostly involved in CAIs, not actual individual challenges. However, they are active in challenges themselves. The only thing I would like to say on planned service is we are anticipating a good amount of them at the end of the challenge process coming from ISPs, because we've been mainly working with our broadband providers and kind of fielding a lot of their questions. So we do kind of have a notion of what we're going to get from them. It is important as we move into the rebuttal process that the community's essentially input is included. So if you haven't signed up for an account because you didn't plan on participating in the actual challenge submissions, it is a good time to sign up to essentially participate in the rebuttal portion of it, which will run from about mid-September to I think right beginning of November. But it's important just to know, because you will be able to openly rebut what people say is planned service, which is essentially private deployment of broadband. So ISPs that are essentially putting locations in the community, you guys are able to basically spot check as well as communicate with them and kind of solidify some things. So it is something that we would like to have involvement from. And Aaron posted September 5th is a challenge deadline date. Is going to be close of business on that date. I believe that is a Tuesday or a Monday of September. Nope, that's actually a Thursday in September. Will be the 5th. Close of business, so you have up until the end of the day. And the two companies, I can go ahead. It was going to be, I'll reply to that, but it was going to be Education Superhighway has submitted some, as well as Preservation of Affordable Housings, I believe is going to be their name. But I'll post those in this meeting. And if there's any more questions, feel free to put them in the essentially the chat, and I'll answer them. But that's kind of all I have for the BEAD challenge updates at this moment. As always, feel free to reach out to us, myself or the broadband group, just to ask questions about being involved, questions about participating, anything you need from us. We're here for you guys. So thank you.
Josh, this is David again. Just as a quick summation there, 9/5 at close of business is the end of the challenge, the actual challenge process, and then the rebuttal would then start in mid-September and probably running through November. Not fixed date yet.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and post our image of our timeline where we're kind of it actually has dates on it right now. But yeah, the submissions would end in that date that Aaron posted, and then we have a quick 1 week buffering process that will essentially be our data processing week. That's where all the area and MDU challenges will come out of, and then we'll go ahead and send those all out to whoever's been challenged, as well as we will publicly post, or not publicly post, but rather post for challengers that have challenger accounts, the any group rebuttables. So essentially anybody can rebut to enforceable commitments, which are essentially people saying they're under an agreement of a federal or state, as well as planned service, which is essentially private deployment. So anybody can kind of rebut to those. But I'll post that timeline for y'all, so that way you have a good idea of when things are kind of lining up.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay. If no one doesn't have any more questions for Josh right now, then we will start to discuss the digital capacity grant. I have been working on a document that kind of explains how it goes from the federal level to the state level, but I am still making some edits. I really haven't been authorized to share it with everyone yet. But once I do, I'll make sure to share that with everyone because I think it'll be a great resource to have, just because instead of y'all going to the NOFOs yourself and looking through a 90-page document, I've been able to combine kind of the federal input and the state input probably under around 8 pages. So I really hope that is helpful for y'all to just get a better understanding without having to read all the extra federal information. But regarding the digital capacity grant, this has been awarded to the state. Overall, we'll have about $70 million, but it'll be given out through 5 years. So the first set amount that we should be getting is around $41 million. And then regarding the next two sets of money, we will be getting around $15 million each. So it's a great, amount of money that the state has been given from the federal government. But regarding the digital capacity grant, the way I've really explained this to a lot of people is that this really deals with a lot more of community development within broadband instead of just plain infrastructure, like how BEAD really is. So this will really cover a lot of your digital devices, digital navigators, telehealth, let me see other kind of examples, online accessibility, economic development, e-government, and civic engagement. But specifically through the state's plan, our strategy is what we kind of will focus on so the second strategy is to promote accessible digital resources, websites, forums, guidance, and supporting material. The third strategy is to expand services and resources that support safe and effective use and interaction with high-speed internet. Fourth strategy, which will broaden digital device availability through CAIs and community partners and other funding programs. And then the fifth one will focus on that develops services and resources that support meaningful use of high-speed internet from the Digital Adoption and Use Plan. So that's kind of the Florida. So each state has the authority to have like their own plan, and this is Florida's plan of what we plan on doing with this grant money. So I think we are expected to receive this money more than likely towards the end of August, but it'll just depend on how that really goes through the NTIA. But other than that, I'm trying to think. Settlement. Yeah. But yes, once we get that money, we'll be able to start, hopefully start, seeing, basically just spreading more awareness of who can apply for the grants and who will be interested in the grants. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for LTPTs to, again, work with community, basically your community, your nonprofits, your schools, your libraries, your hospitals, to see how this kind of grant money can further help your community, just because broadband is such an important structure in everyone's lives nowadays. So with that really quick overview, does anyone have any questions? I know that once I get this document approved, I will send it out to y'all, and I think it will make a lot more sense rather just me giving y'all like kind of details here and there. Okay, if there aren't any questions, I will throw it over to Jacob to discuss the digital competitive grant.
Oh, Aaron, I think
Oh.
Derek had a question in the chat for you.
Oh. Okay, so the timeline of the grant.
Aaron, this is
So-
Paul. I can help you with that.
Oh, I think I have the right information from the project plan. Yeah. So, but you can totally correct me if I'm wrong, Paul. But I think for what I have is that Connected Florida anticipates opening its initial subgrant applications through a request for applications in RFA during October 2024. But also that'll depend on the release of funds from the NTIA. But then the application period will be open to prospective subgrantees for 60 days. The first cycle tentatively in December 2024. The application cycles will continue on a rolling basis as funding from a separate digital capacity NOFOs come to Florida Commerce. And then Connected Florida, we will estimate approximately 3 weeks to score and rank applications, and we will draft of contracts and execute agreements. And this kind of puts us at that the first subgrantees will begin their work under the program in January of 2025. So that's kind of what I have on the document that I'm reading off of. Paul, if I need any corrections, then you can correct me.
Oh, ma'am, nailed it.
Are organizations able to respond to sub-recipient grants in the NTIA grant? Paul, could you possibly help answer the question that Beatrice put in the chat? She asked, or are organizations able to respond to the sub-recipient grant and the NTIA grant?
Yep, so there's no restrictions on who can apply to what other than the entities that are eligible. If you want to apply to both, you certainly can. You just need to make sure that each grant knows that you're applying for the other, and you have to ensure that there's no duplication of benefits. In other words, you can't ask for $4 million to do the same thing with both sets of funds. You'll eventually get caught anyhow, but if you wanted to split that out in a competitive grant for $2 million and the state grant for $2 million, you're welcome to do that. If you've got a project that you want to do that you think is very valuable and you want to apply for a lot of money from both grants, feel free to do that. Right now, there's no limitation on the state award. We may find that to be different as we move forward, but again, these things all have to be completed within the 5-year period of time from the initial date that we receive an award. We anticipate receiving our funding sometime between August 28th and September 28th. And then the next two tranches, the money that we get next year and the year after, we'll still have to adhere to that original 5-year date. So sometime between August and September of 29 will be the end period for all of these awards.
The digital capacity grant part of the federal. Yes, the digital capacity grant is part of the Digital Act and Digital Inclusion Grant from the federal government. So yes, that is part of their kind of plan right now. Axel, who asked that question in the chat. Is there a matching fund?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Is there a matching fund requirement for this grant? Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm not really sure, Paul. Is that another question you might be able to potentially answer?
You know, we're not going to require a matching portion for that grant.
Okay. If those are all of the questions, I will now throw it over to Jacob to talk about the digital competitive grant.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So the Digital Competitive Grant is similar to the Digital Capacity Grant. The main difference is that it's through the federal government instead of our office, so we are not administering it. But in terms of the activities and the sort of general idea, it's very similar. The main thing you should know is that it's open now for application. The clock is ticking if you want to apply for it. The end date for applications is September 23rd through the NTIA grants portal. So if you want to apply, get started as soon as possible. Eligible entities for that will be political subdivisions, nonprofits, community anchor institutions, educational agencies, and organizations that operate workforce programs. The NTIA has a couple rules that I don't think set out in terms of the way that the money is to be spent. It's a $750 million total pool. It's a sort of deceptively large. There's a set aside for tribes and territories, and it's competitive throughout the entire nation, so that's not specifically for Florida. So you'll be competing against all 50 states for that pool of funds. So it's a lot less than it seems. They have a suggested project range of $5 million to $12 million for individual projects. There's leeway below and above that range, but you'll have to provide justification. They're looking for a $5 to $12 million range for their projects. And the NTIA grant, unlike ours, does have a 10% match requirement. There's a waiver on that. And if you can demonstrate financial need, they can grant a waiver, but you know, who knows if they will do that for you. Additionally, if you provide a greater match, you'll get a greater score. 10% is a minimum, but you can get a higher score if you provide more. Eligible activities listed are digital adoption activities, education and employment activities, training programs, workforce development programs, low and no cost device programs, expansion of public access computing through community anchor institutions, and they have sort of an other category. If you feel like your project is in line generally with those types of principles but doesn't fall into any of those categories, there's a little wiggle room for you there. So go ahead and apply and see if you can justify it that way. And the period of performance of the grant is 4 years. That's basically all the details that we have, I think, that are pertinent for y'all. The big one, like I said, again, this is open right now. It closes next month. And if you need help with it, reach out to us. Anything we can do, we will do what we can for you. But the clock is ticking on this, so if you want to apply, go ahead and get started as soon as possible. That's everything I got. If anyone's got any questions, happy to do my best to answer. The categories, you're asking for the categories for eligible activities? The eligible activities were digital adoption activities, educational or employment activities, training programs like digital literacy, workforce development programs, low or no cost device programs, and expansion of public access computing through community anchor institutions. And there is, like I said, an other category. If your planned activities don't fall exactly into any of those, you can apply and sort of try and justify to the NTIA why you think your activity should be allowed under the grant. But those are the ones that are suggested in the notice of funding opportunity. Any other questions?
Oh, thank you, Sean, for putting that in the group chat. So yes, that's a great link that provides more information regarding this grant through the NTIA. So thank you, Sean, and thank you, Jacob, for covering that. So I will now throw it over to Paul Witherspoon to provide award status contracts for capital projects funds and multi-purpose capital project funds.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We're working to get all these awards out. All awards have been announced for the infrastructure program, multi-purpose community facility program, and digital connectivity technology program. There were 29 multi-purpose community facility, 61 infrastructure, and 15 digital connectivity awards. All those awardees have been notified, and we're getting ready. If we haven't already posted it, we're going to post the awards on our website. You got an email was sent out, I think, on Monday that listed the 15 awards that were issued under the Digital Connectivity Technology Program. We're about halfway through finishing up the executions for the agreements for the infrastructure award. About half our multi-purpose community facilities have submitted work for scope of work. We're in the process of doing those agreements, and several in the digital technology program, digital connectivity technology program, have also submitted their information, and one has already received some payment on their award. So if you have any questions, please ask.
So Paul, someone asked, can we get any award agreements within our county?
Yes. You want all 3 awards or just digital connectivity? We can provide both. I mean, they are posted on our website, so you can see which ones have been issued.
Yeah, I just speaking as far as simplicity and trying to keep track of things. I mean, I know you guys issue awards and they say we gave X amount to this group, but I don't think I've seen the final award agreements and the final amounts and the final areas. And ideally, if anytime you award something in the county, it'd be nice if you send it to the LPT of what's been awarded for all awards as you issue them. It would be very helpful, and the actual agreement too, because we could actually be your watchdogs or eyes and ears on the ground. Just thought.
Yeah, sure. So the 2 that are out there now show the specific awards, who they're to and where the county is. Our digital connectivity should be the same, but we can put it together in a single spreadsheet if that's what you'd like.
Yeah. How about the agreements themselves? Is there any potential to see what actually the details are of the agreement of the award?
So those award agreements are like 87 pages, but they are all posted. Once they're executed, they are posted in the Department of Financial Services facts section. So if you go to DFS and you click on the FACTS button, it will take you there. Just identify the county or the awardee, and you'll be able to search and find out all the details. The actual agreement is out there, as well as the deliverables and dates.
All right. Appreciate that. Thanks, Paul.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, if no one has any other questions for Paul, then we will discuss the LTPT monthly budget, just to go over that again. So thank you, Paul, for discussing the award status updates for these funds. So I will share my screen. Okay. So this is just a quick reminder that LTPTs are given $1,000 a month to kind of help carry out, pivotal functions that kind of help prioritize the activities within an LCPT. I pretty sure I shared this with you guys a few months ago. If you don't have this document, please reach out and I can share it with you again. But it provides a quick understanding of how Florida Commerce will be can help y'all provide, if you go out to a community event and you need flyers, or if you're looking for a consultant, you can use that money for that as well. But this, what you're looking at right now, is just a quick state guide on conflicts of interest. And then I can get more into this as well, but My Florida Marketplace, if you're interested in working with a consultant, it has to be through My Florida Marketplace. This is just extra information if you go through that route of getting a consultant. So this is kind of the big part of this document, is that these are the expenditures that you can use for these state funds. So once again, office supplies, printing, and project supplies. We really ask or really request that this go through Office Depot, just because we have an account with Office Depot through the state. And someone can say, hey, I need 80 things of copy paper for an event. You can make that request to me. I'll make that request, and then we'll get that delivered to y'all wherever you're at. Another thing I wanted to share is that the LTPT from Sumter County, Kristen shared with me a town hall flyer that they had regarding expanding broadband and rural services. I just wanted to share this with y'all just because I thought this was, a great event that they had. She said it was very successful. But this is kind of what we're talking about in regarding, if y'all are having these community events and you don't want to use, your own funds to pay for it, especially if you expect it to be a really huge event, y'all are more than welcome to reach out to us and, claim, we're going to have this event. We need the $1,000 to help us, print out flyers, note cards, anything kind of pertaining to that, because obviously this is affiliated with, LTPT's broadband needs in the community. So I just thought that this was really great and efficient. And if y'all ever have any questions or ideas about this, you can reach out to me or even reach out to Kristen as well, just because she shared this with me. So I just thought it was really neat and thought it would be nice to share with y'all as well. But then back to, oops, that's the wrong thing. Here we go. Back to the expenditure sheet. So, and then consulting, like I said before, if you're requesting to work with a consultant, it has to go through My Florida Marketplace. And then obviously once that goes through, we will approve if that consultant is allowed to work with y'all. And then another thing that this will cover is digital literacy training, digital navigators, device ownership, and rental programs. If you make this request that these services or products are requested, please provide the office with 3 given quotes from other organizations that can provide these services and products, and then the agency will approve of which organization's teams to fit best. Another one is marketing materials. Again, you will have to provide us 3 given quotes from other organizations that will provide the requested materials, and the agency will approve the request. Please note that these materials need to pertain to broadband initiatives. So just like what I shared with you about that flyer, that is perfectly fine and acceptable because obviously it pertains to broadband within that community. And so another big part of this is that there are prohibited expenditures for these kind of state funds. You are not allowed to use it for traveling, hotels, rental cars, or car mileages, flowers, telegraphic condolences, refreshments such as donuts and coffee, decorative items, picture frames or desk in the office, greeting cards, and then any furniture whatsoever. So that's just kind of a quick overview of this document. I haven't really had a lot of LTPTs reach out with any interest of using this money, but I just wanted to remind y'all that it's there. It can be really beneficial, especially during, the BEAD challenge process right now going on. So if y'all ever have any questions or concerns about kind of where you would like to use this money, please reach out to me, and hopefully we can get it to y'all so, it can help your LTPT become more involved in the community. So does anyone have any questions regarding the LTPT expenditure sheet? Okay. Then we will move back to the agenda. Okay, so now I will throw it over to the LTPT. If y'all have any reports on any events that you had, any meetings that you had, and if you would just like to share your thoughts on any of it. Can you put the sheet in the chat? Beatrice, are you talking about the expenditure sheet or the one covering like the kind of broadband community? Okay. Yeah, no, I'll share that with you, Beatrice. But yes, so LTPT reports. If anyone has any updates, you are more than welcome to share. Okay, nobody. Oh, there's Maribel. Yeah, Maribel, if you would like to share something.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, just wanted to share with everyone that I'm really excited to continue some in-depth community conversations over there in DeSoto. So as you know, we lead a 4-county digital navigation program, and the 4th cohort of that program is going to exclusively take place in DeSoto County. So shout out to Sandra Guffey if you're on today's call. But the approach in this county is really different than in past cohorts, and we're really taking a comprehensive approach to making sure that everyone is involved in these conversations, and they are primarily on the backs of the local agency that's driving the conversations, which is the Patterson Foundation. So I'm thrilled to be a part of them, and this is really going to prove to be a really unique experience working on the ground in, as you know, a very economically depressed area. But our aim is to make sure that every household is involved and that everyone is counted, and that we're making sure that obviously the goal is to drive towards affordable internet devices and training. And we're looking at how to do that in really creative ways and ways that make sense. And most importantly, that's relevant to the people in this community. So that's kicking off, and I'm so excited. I'll report back with whatever findings come our way, but we're planning on being there for a while, so it's an exciting time. Thanks for letting me share.
I'll just add to that. This is Sandra. Thank you, Maribel. We appreciate all that you are doing here, and also being able to do it in Spanish as well as English, because that is a key part of our population, and there's a lot of people that do not speak English. So being able to do this is helping bridge some of those gaps.
That is a key part of all the work that we do, including the computer training piece. It has to be relevant. It has to be accessible. So yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Absolutely. Thanks.
And I'm going to pile on and also thank Maribel for the work she did with Goodwill of Southwest Florida. We had a great meeting yesterday, and I think they're going to have a great application for the federal competitive grant. But Maribel's work, particularly in the train the trainer concept, where not, she just multiplies the qualified and smart people out there, which is essential. So thanks for what you did with Goodwill, Maribel.
Peter, I really appreciate that, but I have to tell you, Goodwill is a superstar agency to work with. They're just highly collaborative, and they have a vision, and I'm really just helping to shape that, just with an amazing crew as well, as you know. So thank you.
We're going to go hard for that extra money. 5 to 12 million can go a long way with what they're doing in 5 counties. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all for sharing that. That was a great update. does anyone have any other updates that they would like to share? Okay, before we go, I also wanted to share another document. So Amanda from St. Lucie, she and I have been working together, and so I just thought that this would be kind of a good document to share with you guys regarding the grants that we have from the office. I know that they can get very overwhelming. Um, they can get overwhelming. They can all be very similar to one another, so it gets very confusing. So last week, Amanda and I had a meeting trying to just discuss the grants, what's still applicable, what isn't anymore. And she shared with me just this very simple document of how to keep track of the grants that we have in the office. So I just thought that this was just a very informative an organized way to just keep track of what's going on in our office regarding grants. You can see that in one of the columns, she has the name, the amounts, the overview, where you can get information from, when you need to submit it, who should admit it. So I just thought that if y'all ever have any trouble kind of keeping track of the grants, I thought that that was just a really efficient way to keep track of them, if that gives y'all any ideas. And I know that if you'd like to reach out to Amanda, I know she would be more than welcome to talk to you or share it with you. Just because I know that these grants can just get confusing because it's a lot of correlation from the federal to even down to y'all. So if y'all have any questions or concerns regarding grants and need any help kind of creating a document like this, I would be also more than happy to help with y'all, help y'all with that as well. So I just thought that was like a neat little document to share. But other than that, if y'all don't have any other questions, I'll stop sharing. Yes, Amanda, I'll put sorry. Yes, Beatrice, I'll put Amanda's email in the chat real quick. Oh, she already put it in there. Thank you, Amanda. But yeah, if y'all don't have any more questions or concerns, then we will end a little early today. I think our next LTPT meeting will be after the summit. Let me double check that. Yep, it will be. So if y'all are attending the summit, then we will see y'all there. But if not, then we'll see you on September 19th at 10:30. So don't forget, if you have any questions or concerns just regarding LTPTs, the Broadband Summit, B Challenge, grants, please reach out to the office. And I'll see y'all next month.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Aaron. And team.
Thanks, Aaron.